Hi, welcome to my craft room. Carol Gatton, your Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. We have our tag all made from our last video, and now let's get started on creating our card. The items you're going to need is the silicone craft sheet. You'll need the Versamark ink pad, and I've chosen the iridescent ice embossing powder. You want to cover that tag thoroughly with that Versamark. And then next, using tweezers, you are going to coat the top of that tag with that embossing powder. Once you get it all coated, then just tap off the excess. And I like to preheat my heating tool, and I find it much easier to get results faster once I do put the heat to my tag. And doesn't that look beautiful? It looks very, very rich. Okay, so there we have it. So let's get going now on the rest of our card. I'm using the Everything Eleanor stamp set, and I've picked out the medium-sized flower that I'm stamping 3 times in Marina Mist on Marina Mist cardstock. I have trimmed around all 3 of those. And then next I am bringing in our white gel pen. And I want to tell you the secret to working with this gel pen. Gently, very little pressure. If you're heavy-handed and you want to really push down, you're going to have great difficulty, because that's what happened to me. But once I caught on to the fact that if I just gently put pressure, then it just flows. Then we're going to ball all 3 of these up. We're not wetting them, we're just balling them up, and then you will release that. You will notice that there are 3 distinctive petals, and on the opposite side of that is where you're going to put your adhesive and then slide it right into that little dip. And next we will do the next one, and once again pay attention to where those petals are. You want those to be on the outside and the part that's flatter to be on the inside. And next we will do our last one, and that's going to go in that little dip right at the bottom. And I want you to pay attention that at the very top I have a lot more of the flower showing, and as the flower goes around there's less of it showing. I've cut off a little strip from point to point that measures 2 1/4 inch. And I'm putting the multi-purpose adhesive right in the center, and then I'm just bringing that in that little opening there between the 2 flowers. And my point is up. And then once that dries, let that dry, then you're going to add more of the multi-purpose adhesive, and you're going to have that second part pointing down, and it'll be mostly behind that bottom flower. Now let's add a little leaf up at the top with another little tiny piece of the ribbon with the point going up. Now you want to adhere that on as well. And lastly, we are going to make a little loop, and that loop's going to be just about the size of your fingernail, and snip that apart. Now I connected the loop together, and then I added more adhesive, and I am connecting it onto that rounded part of my tag on the opposite side. Now I have ribbon in 4 different locations, and then that just make it look so pretty. I'm adding several of the dimensionals because I want this to be supported. And now I'll set this aside while I go and do my stamping to my background. Here I'm wanting you to see that those bottom loops are almost the same height as far as where they lay on that piece of Marina Mist cardstock. I like, when I'm using a larger stamp, I like to put the ink to the stamp. Now press that on well, and my swirl is going up and slightly off, and the other one is going to the opposite side. Okay, next let's just repeat that whole process, and you're going to see here that where the swirl is right in here, we're going to intertwine those 2. I'm not stamping one on top of the other, but almost, and then that make it look like it's connected. Wow, that looks really, really pretty. That'd make a beautiful background for anything. Isn't that pretty? Now we're going to accent that by taking the Marina Mist ink and a sponge, and we're just going to sponge right around those swirls and just staying right on top of where those swirls are. And I'm leaning more ink into the center You'll see that that's the part that's beginning to get the darkest. And where it swerves out, I'm being very light-handed with that. But doesn't that look nice? Okay, next let's add a few flowers. It's just a slight accent. I don't want these to be bold, so I'm stamping them in the Marina Mist on that Marina Mist cardstock. And they look kind of bold right now, but it will become more faint. But doesn't that look pretty? Just stay right in the line of that swirled. And let's see, I think one more right here, and then maybe another one to the side. And lastly, I think I'll put one right up here at the top. No, one right over here as well. Okay, and now I'm going to bring in that smaller stamp, and I'll be stamping twice with that. And this is just to add a little bit more color into that, a little more interest. Here again, I'm just going to remind you that be very light-handed, no pressure when you go to use this gel pen, and it'll just flow from there. I cannot believe the difference. I used to struggle with this pen, and it's wonderful. Now I've finally caught on, and I hope it helps you. I love that white accent on there. I think it just makes it pop. Okay, let's see. Let's make that curve around just a little bit. Okay, and that pen, you will find that in our new catalog, and that's found on page 163. I'm going to put that in the Fancy Fan embossing folder, and where the Stampin' Up! Emblem is, you want the front of your card to be showing. And now let's trim off that left side. And I'm taking 1/4 inch off that left side, but if you see that maybe yours would be more balanced or you like to look better, you may want to take 1/8 inch off each side. And then I'm going to flip it around, and I'm going to take 1/4 inch off the top. And now I have put my adhesive onto the back of this, and I am mounting it on the gumball green cardstock. Okay, so let's pull the backs off of these, and we are ready to adhere it onto our card. And isn't that striking? I think that is so pretty. I hope you like this technique, and I'll have all of the information on my blog, so be sure and go there, and I'll have all of that information written up for you. We've gone from a very simple tag to an elegant card. Thank you so much, and until next time.